The wedding day was supposed to be perfect, but fate had prepared a storm long before the first guest arrived. As the bright morning sun covered the beautiful stone courtyard, a silence suddenly swept over the crowd. All eyes turned toward a frail-looking old man carrying a large sack of empty water bottles on his back, his clothes dusty, his hair untrimmed, and his steps heavy, yet determined. No one knew him. No one understood why he was walking straight toward the red carpet where the bride stood glowing in white. But what no one realized was that this man, disguised as a scrap collector, had come to reveal a truth that would shake every soul present. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, forgiveness, and second chances, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support helps these emotional stories reach more hearts. The bride, Alina, froze as she recognized something deep within the old man's eyes, something familiar, something sacred. She fell to her knees as tears streamed down her face uncontrollably. Her fiancé, Daniel, stepped forward aggressively, pointing furiously at the old man, shouting for him to leave. The guests watched in horror as the scene unfolded, their whispers rising like a storm. But the old man simply stood there, quiet, heavy with a truth that no one could feel yet. Alina had grown up with a single father. A mysterious man, a hard-working man, a man who never complained and never allowed her to see his struggles. He always disappeared early in the morning and returned covered in dust and sweat. She believed he collected scrap to feed them. She believed he was poor. And he never told her otherwise. What she didn't know was that her father, Arif, was quietly one of the wealthiest businessmen in the region. But his wealth meant nothing to him compared to one thing: character, true character. He wanted a son-in-law who would care for his daughter regardless of wealth. He wanted a man who valued people, not money. So he made a painful decision. For months before the wedding, he disguised himself as a poor scrap collector and visited Daniel secretly on the streets, pretending to need help, pretending to be desperate, pretending to be invisible. He wanted to see who Daniel really was when no one was watching. But what he saw broke him. Daniel insulted him, mocked him, and once even shoved him aside, calling him trash. Those moments carved wounds so deep that Arif would hide in empty alleys and cry silently, not because of humiliation, but because he feared his daughter's future was about to be tied to a man with a cruel heart. Still, he didn't interfere. He didn't expose anything. He wanted to give Daniel one last chance, on the wedding day. And that chance was happening now. As Daniel screamed, pointing at Arif in front of all the guests, the old man quietly lowered the sack from his shoulder. His back trembled from the weight, not of the bottles, but of everything he had carried alone for years. The crowd grew silent as Alina cried, begging Daniel to stop. But Daniel refused. Anger blinded him. The suit he wore, the grand wedding behind him, the expensive venue all reflected a pride that had slowly devoured his compassion. Arif simply looked at him with tired eyes, the eyes of a father who knew the truth yet desperately wished to be wrong. The atmosphere thickened. The guests whispered. Some stepped back, embarrassed. Others stared at Daniel in disbelief. Alina, unable to stand the cruelty, finally shouted for him to stop, but he didn't, until Arif reached into his sack and pulled out something no one expected. A file. A very thick file. He opened it slowly, revealing documents, photographs, and records. Business reports, company shares, bank statements, property, ownership documents, all under a single name, Arif Khan. Shock rippled through the guests like a sudden windstorm. Daniel's voice caught in his throat as he stared, unable to process what he was seeing. Alina's soft sobs echoed painfully. And Arif finally spoke, his voice low, trembling, not with weakness, but with disappointment so deep it cut through the entire courtyard. He didn't need to shout. He didn't need to accuse. His silence carried the weight of truth heavier than the sack he had carried. The guests watched as Arif revealed the reality he had hidden for decades. He told them he wanted a man worthy of his daughter, not because of wealth, but because of kindness. He told them how Daniel had treated him on the streets, the insults, the dismissal, the coldness. And as his words poured into the air, Daniel's world collapsed around him. A millionaire father-in-law had tested him, tested the core of his humanity, and he had failed brutally. Alina covered her mouth, heartbroken not because her father was wealthy, but because the man she loved had failed the simplest test of decency. Her wedding dress blurred through her tears. Her dreams shattered like glass under her feet. She felt betrayed, not by her father, but by the man she had believed would protect her heart forever. Daniel fell to his knees, trembling, but whether from shock or guilt no one could tell. He begged, he pleaded, he stuttered apologies that sounded hollow. The guests no longer looked at him with admiration. They looked at him with disgust. Arif stepped back, exhausted, his disguise still clinging to his skin, his heart heavier than ever. He never wanted to embarrass anyone. He never wanted to expose his wealth. He only wanted to protect the one person he loved more than life. Alina slowly stood up, walking toward her father. She hugged him tightly, a hug filled with years of love, sacrifice, and unspoken truths. She whispered apologies for doubting him. Arif held her like he had when she was a little girl, trembling as tears streamed down his face. The wedding ended that moment. But the story didn't. Over the next months, Daniel tried to change. He volunteered, he helped the poor, he tried to become a better human. But Arif never interfered again. Alina had seen Daniel's true nature when he believed no one important was watching. Time slowly healed her heart. She pursued her passions. She rebuilt her dreams. And Arif, now openly wealthy, continued to live simply, never allowing his status to dictate his character. What mattered to him most was that his daughter finally understood the deeper lesson. True wealth is not measured by money but by kindness. And true love is not built on perfection but on humanity. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to support more emotional stories like this. Before we end, please write in the comments. A person's true worth is revealed by how they treat those who can't give them anything. And always remember, every act of kindness counts, even when no one is watching.